Man, this is just a straight-up two-base Sentry Stalker attack with some Zealots mixed in. After being behind, after losing so much mining time and getting locked into that base, after being scouted so early on, before the gateways are even done, he still almost makes it work.
Yeah.
That's got to be terrifying for Dark. He's like, well, I held that, but oh my god, what if anything else didn't go right?
That's
for
PartinG, man. He will put that fear into your heart, and he just almost made it work. And I don't blame him for using that build on that map either.
Well, Foxtrot Labs is going to be the map for game number 2. We're jumping into it right away here. Dark versus PartinG at the SSL.
Down here in the bottom right in the red, the Zerg player is up 1-0. It is Dark.
And up to the top left in blue, his opponent for Yoey, it's PartinG, his former teammate. PartinG sending out a very early probe. Start making a wall on the low ground, actually. So, playing this one a little bit differently, because last time he just went straight into that Nexus first.
And with the pylon down there, you can add that forge, which will help make the cannons later for the wall, but also can threaten a cannon rush down there at the natural of the Zerg if the Zerg does decide to put down that hatch.
Yeah, and this is essentially a 2-player map, so you can go over and scout that base, where you don't have to scout. You know exactly where it's going to be, so it becomes a lot easier to do that than on a map like, say Deadwing, Nimbus, Merry-Go-Round, basically any of the other maps except Overgrowth. So I think send this across, and Sage on as well, I guess, just to put that out there, all our 2-player maps.
Yep. This is a really nice read by Dark. Putting out this early scout here is actually going to see the forge, and he's just going to easily be able to pull his drone back, as he's doing right now, and immediately put down that pool.
Yep.
Very nicely read here by Dark.
This is really annoying for PartinG, because now this drone's going to block the hatchery, rather than the Nexus. Decides to send it back instead. But could just lurk around, scout, be annoying, block the Nexus. PartinG going to come down here and do a little bit of blocking of his own. That's the best he's going to be able to hope for. That's another reason why when you see a probe coming across the map, you pretty much have to go pool first, because it could be a cannon. If it's not a cannon, you're not going to be able to get the hatchery up. He's just going to block you. You're just going to need to get your pool started. And since that drone went home, he's going to be able to make a third base instead of using the natural, but this means PartinG can start his Nexus immediately. He's got that nice wall set up here.
Mm-hmm. Decides to take the safer third here. Do want to mention that, sometimes players do like to go for the gold and kind of go aggressive if this does happen to him. So Dark just trying to be safe.
Notice he also, just with this build, like, he knows the timings for this so well. I like how he sends a drone home, because it's more important to him to have that third base ready immediately, that the timing lines up perfectly for him to be able to secure that if this happens, if the pylon goes down, if he doesn't cancel. Sends an Overlord over even to check for cannoning at the third base. He's just very careful here. PartinG might make a Forge or a Cybernetics core.
Oh, that's so annoying.
Couldn't make the core because he didn't have his gateway done yet. It has more hit points. But look at this. This is
PartinG, so man. Important. He will just never give up with this stuff.
He's going to wait until the last second to cancel that. Queen needs to be shooting at it. He's not going to catch that probe. That's a Queen. I'm going to send the Queen to the third base, though. And for a second, I thought he was just going to let it finish. He's like, I just want a few more seconds. That Queen is going to take a long time on this map to get to that third base. She is going all the way around. Not much else for her to be doing right now, though. So definitely the right choice.
It is true. Really curious to see what PartinG's going to do for the follow-up on this map. He could easily just do the same build. It is kind of annoying to get over there for the third base for the Zerg if you don't break down those rocks.
Yeah.
And since the Zerglings are over here just being annoying and denying those mineral patches on the right side, not going to be working on those rocks just yet.
PartinG verifies this base has been made. He also kept checking the gold base just in case. I think he was thinking, what if he just kills my Forge and then goes for the gold? I really need to be aware of this. But yeah, that's a really important scout too because of what you were talking about. If the rocks aren't dead, that third base is so hard to defend. This is part of the advantage you get from forcing that base to be made like this. A few more gates on the way, and that +1, he could just do, some more pressure. It doesn't have to be as all-in as like what we saw last game.
Really nice scout here with the Overlord. Timing is on point to at least see the first two coming out here after the first one.
And those Lings are going back now to start working on those rocks. He knows he needs to get those down because something like this can be deadly if you're not ready for it. Those rocks are not ready for it, I guess you could say. It's annoying to lose the Overlord, but the vision is so invaluable. And even a Robo going down. Dare Uzi, will he dare to go for Immortals?
Could happen. He's making that forward pylon.
Could just be for a Warp Prism.
Yeah, he did make those third and fourth gases.
Yeah.
So
I think he's just going to use it for the later stage of this game. A little bit of harassment with the Warp Prism, perhaps.
Those rocks are still up. The creep is not spread, actually, between the natural and the third, or even the main and the natural, so pretty much no creep spread, only, like, in front of that third base. And already PartinG is putting on the pressure here.
This Nexus, rather not the Nexus, but the Mothership Core can recall back to a Nexus at any time. It has plenty of energy. He doesn't quite have enough units here, actually. He's going to have to do that recall right away. If he had waited a little bit longer, maybe another Warp and a Stalkers might have been a different story, but look at this. He's going to take the gold base. He's taking it right away here. PartinG loves to take his gold bases. He was actually one of the players to revolutionize Habitation Station in this matchup for that reason. With that same Robo, of course, using it a little bit differently, but
I think PartinG's, or rather, Dark has got to check for this. He's got that Zergling there at the third base, but not at the gold. And he actually still does not know that PartinG has taken that gold.
Yeah. No vision of it whatsoever. I love how every time, you get to watch a PartinG play a PvZ, you could just feel his style. And if you blindfolded the player names to the top of the map and covered the player camera, you could probably tell it was him. He's so unique in his style, and I hope he never changes.
This has got to be the Zergling that scouts it. Or
He's not checking it. He might even think this is going to be another follow-up attack.
Well, he's doing a very similar build to what he did the last time, with just pumping out the roaches on 60 drones, getting the +1 and the speed, as well as getting that macro hatch. So he's responding pretty much the same exact way. Now he does finally get that scout.
Might be scared, though, because, that's a gold base. It's going to give a lot of extra mineral income, and he just saw a ton of extra gates going up. I think he thinks, oh, this definitely is a push. I'm glad I was making those roaches. He's going to move the roaches across up to this location to help defend, his creep pushing forward. And he's going to be able to harass that gold base a little bit before the attack starts from PartinG. You can actually just go right next to these gold mineral patches, start picking away at those probes, and then pull back at the last second. Needs to be aware of where the sentries are, though, which is what those Lings are doing. But look at this. He's just going to pick these probes off. This is why this gold base is so risky to take on this map.
Ooh, catching 2 Stalkers. Pretty nice here. The cannon is done over there. It will provide some protection. And it's going to be almost impossible for Dark to get down that ramp with all these sentries. He's actually got to be pretty careful here. That's a lot of sentry energy.
Yeah, he's just going to jump right on top of those sentries, in fact. It's going to cost him a lot of roaches and some really good Warp Prism micro here by PartinG to pick up those weakened Stalkers because he doesn't have Blink and save his sentries this way as well. Arguably a bit too aggressive there by Dark, but he's really starting to hit his strides in macro. With all of his bases saturated, he's got that gold on the way as well. He's going to have an explosion of economy once that's finished. He's got a ton of roaches out right now. He's got +1. He's got burrow finishing up here. He's got burrow movement, which is going to allow him to just go right underneath those force fields that PartinG's going to have here. PartinG made 1 Immortal. That's going to bolster his army just a little bit. But instead of fighting the army head-on, it looks like Dark's just going to try to take the counterattack approach and try to force PartinG to turn around and maybe even eliminate some of that very important production here in those gateways.
And that is a lot of +1 roaches there at that gold base. It's definitely going to be taken down. The PartinG is deciding to go for the attack at the same time here. Dark just have some defense. But again, that's not enough. Most of his army is at the gold base.
Yep, burrow movement is done, but he needs his roaches all together in order to utilize that properly. This base is almost certainly going to fall. That Immortal with that extra damage here at the back, he is just wrecking this army, and he's going to take out a ton of these Overlords as well, which may eventually supply block Dark, as he is, quite high in supply right now. PartinG's base does go down, though, and he's sending those roaches home. Let's see how PartinG responds once the army links up, because he knows burrow movement is done as well, and that means his force fields aren't going to be as useful. The roach count right now is at 31. A ton of roaches on this map versus 18 stalkers and that one immortal. He can surround and trap this army. Could be a good engagement. He's got 2 angles of attack, and force fields, like I said, not too useful in this situation. Okay, here he goes. 2 force fields go down, and he's got burrow movement right underneath and pop up on top of those very weak sentries. The immortal doing so much extra damage here, even warping its stalkers right in the fight. Does PartinG have enough? This is another one of those insanely close fights, but I think this is just way too much roach firepower. Forces him to lift, and now PartinG with no third base, whereas Dark has a third, which is a
and
gold.
It's the gold. Yeah. I mean, Dark just did an amazing job of holding that off. That attack, just sandwiching that army, not allowing him to get out of there at all. Does seem like PartinG rather does want to put on some pressure here and just being annoying with that warp prism. But Dark, he's in total control of this one.
As long as he doesn't take too much damage here, which I don't think he will, since that's stalkers in that warp prism, which isn't going to do a whole lot of anything. I mean, look at this. The gateways are unpowered. Look at PartinG's gas count. It's so low. Yeah. He's got a bunch of extra minerals that he was mining from that gold base, but he can't spend them without the gas. And that one warp prism is just going to take forever to push this back.
Even little things like this are so good, especially when you have a very high number of roaches. You know the Protoss is going to be chrono boosting out as many immortals as possible. He just goes in there, goops it up. He's like, no, I'm not going to let you have as many immortals.
Yeah, that was a very good goop. It's just one of those things you can do in your head. Send that Overseer right in there. And Dark is just overwhelming PartinG at this point.
And right now, it doesn't seem like PartinG wants to take third base even. He's like, I'm going to go for one final push. He's making 4 gates now, the gates that he did lose at that gold base. And he's going to try to shut down this gold.
Yep. Every gold, no matter what race you're playing, is going to be weak to range units on this map. But here come that massive burrow movement roach attack here underneath those force fields. The Lings get behind. A second time warp slows those roaches. But he's eventually going to be able to get through here. Another wave of force field is going to buy PartinG a little bit more time. But that base is defended. He has the extra gates finishing up right now, but he needs a warping point. There's that warp prism going into phase position. It's not going to matter, though. The Immortals are exposed. They're being targeted down.
This is like Jaws, man. They're coming in underneath the force fields here, and that's just way too many roaches. This is actually going to be game. He's going to clean up PartinG's army entirely here and end the push. GG.
GG, indeed.
Dark is crushing this guy, man.
He is. He's got him figured out.
Yeah,
really
I mean,
cool.
That's something we said in the beginning. He knows PartinG so well. Like, he's practiced with this guy so much. They used to be on the same team, and Dark is reading him like a book.
It was a really cool opening by PartinG. I like the forge block even, because he knows that third base is really exposed. The rocks are going to be hard to kill. He also knew the rocks weren't killed because the Lings were harassing his base. I feel like the turning point in this game was actually really when PartinG decided to move out with those Stalkers to pressure the third without warping in one more round. If he had a few Zealots with those Stalkers, or even 3 more Stalkers, I think he could have actually stayed and fought the Lings and, did a little dance in and off of creep, traded for those Lings, forced more Lings to be made. Here's San, who will be playing a little bit later. But at that moment, he lost the pressure because he had to recall. And then from then on, Dark was like, okay, I think I'm fine. I've got such a great economy. I can take my gold base even. I can harass yours.